Motivational adventure story, Edward's journey. You're the beginning, a boy with empty pockets. In the late 1800s, nestled in a cold, misty village in northern Europe, where frost clung to every thatched roof like a cruel reminder of hardship, young Edward Carter scraped by in a dilapidated wooden hut. His widowed mother, her hands calloused from endless toil in the fields, mended their threadbare clothes by the dim flicker of a single candle. Edward's shirts were patched relics, his boots mere whispers of leather with holes that let in the biting wind. Many nights, their supper was a thin gruel of barley and wild herbs, hunger gnawing at their bellies like an unrelenting shadow. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in bruised purples, Edward would perch on a splintered fence, watching the rich landlords thunder past on their glossy steeds, capes billowing like triumphant flags. Their laughter echoed, a stark contrast to the village's murmurs of despair. In those moments, a fierce dream ignited in Edward's chest. One day, I too will ride with dignity. One day, I will shatter these chains and change everything, not just for me, but for all who suffer in silence. Yet the villagers, hardened by their own unyielding fates, often hurled barbs his way. "Edward, you'll always be that scrawny farm boy," they'd sneer. "Chasing ghosts while the world spins on without you. Dreams don't fill empty stomachs or mend broken roofs." He never retorted, his jaw set like granite. Instead, he swallowed the sting, fueling the quiet fire within, a blaze that no mockery could extinguish. That the whisper of fortune. One bone-chilling winter evening, as snowflakes danced like elusive spirits outside the creaky tavern door, Edward huddled in the corner, nursing a mug of watery ale earned from a day's labor. The air hummed with the low voices of weary travelers, their faces etched with the miles they'd conquered. Amid tales of distant seas and bustling ports, one story pierced the haze, a forgotten silver mine, shrouded high in the jagged Blackthorn Mountains. Legends whispered of its riches, veins of pure silver that could ransom kingdoms. But peril guarded its heart. Savage wolves prowling moonlit paths, tempests that howled like vengeful gods, and sheer cliffs that swallowed the unwary whole. Men ventured there, lanterns in hand, only to vanish into the abyss, their echoes lost to the wind. Fear gripped the tavern like a vice, but in Edward's soul, it birthed a reckless spark. "If I claim it," he thought, pulse quickening, "I won't just rewrite my story. I'll etch hope into my mother's weary eyes and lift this village from the mud." That night, under a canopy of stars indifferent to mortal strife, Edward resolved the mountain would be his crucible to the dangerous journey. With dawn's first blush barely kissing the horizon, Edward slipped away, his worldly possessions slung in a frayed satchel, a rusty lantern sputtering feeble light, a weathered rope coiled like a serpent, and a knife dulled by years of honest work. No farewells, no maps, only the unyielding pull of destiny. The forest. Towering pines clawed at the sky, their branches weaving a labyrinth of shadow and whisper. The cold wind carried the guttural snarls of wolves, their amber eyes gleaming like embers in the underbrush. Each night, Edward coaxed flames from damp twigs. The fire's glow a fragile bulwark against the encroaching dark. Heart hammering like war drums, he clutched his knife, whispering defiance. "Turn back? Never. The silver calls and I answer. The river crossing." A glacial torrent barred his path, its waters churning with frothy rage swollen by melting snows. Tying the rope to a gnarled root, Edward plunged in, the icy grip stealing his breath, dragging him under like a siren's embrace. Lungs burning, limbs leaden, visions of his mother's frail form flashed before him. With a guttural roar, he clawed to the surface, hauling himself onto slick stones, body racked with shivers. Collapsing in exhaustion, he rasped, "Not yet. My journey isn't over. The mountain waits." The cliff. As he ascended, a ferocious snowstorm unleashed its fury, winds lashing like invisible whips, visibility reduced to a white void, fingers raw and bleeding against razor-sharp granite. Boots shredding on jagged ledges, Edward inched upward. Blizzards blurred his tears, but in the gale's howl, he heard his mother's voice, steady as hearthstone. "Poverty is not your fate, Edward. It is your test, a forge to temper your spirit." Gripping tighter, he surged on, one agonizing pull at a time. Rough the discovery, light in the darkness. Days blurred into a haze of torment, muscles screaming mutiny, until the cave yawned before him, a maw of ancient secrets. Inside, oppressive silence reigned, broken only by the lantern's hesitant flicker and his ragged breaths. Venturing deeper, boots crunching over millennia's dust, Edward's beam caught a glint. then another. His eyes widened in disbelief as the walls unveiled their splendor, intricate veins of silver threading the rock like celestial rivers. Shimmering with the cold allure of frozen moonlight, he sank to his knees, dust caking his tear-streaked face, a sob escaping his lips. This is it, my destiny, forged in fire and frost. Filling his satchel until it bulged with gleaming ore, Edward retraced his scars, emerging a phoenix from the wilds. Back in the village, jaws dropped as he slammed. Silver chunks onto the merchants, scales, the metallic ring echoing like victory's toll. The rise of Edward Carter. Months unfurled like a banner of triumph. Edward poured his fortune into the mine's revival. Sturdy tools gleamed anew, tunnels echoed with purposeful hammers. He hired the villagers, the very souls who'd once jeered, offering wages that banished hunger's spectre. Work birthed prosperity. Fields greened with abundance. Laughter returned to hearths long silent. Years wove Edward into legend, one of the region's titans, his coffers brimming yet his heart unbound. Forgoing solitary opulence, he erected a sturdy school where children traded rags for knowledge, a clinic banishing fever's grip, and stone homes shielding families from winter's bite. Whispers carried his name across borders, a beacon for the downtrodden. The villagers, once scornful, now inclined heads in reverence. This is the boy who turned stone into silver, despair into dawn. That's the lesson. Edward's Odyssey etches timeless truths upon the soul. Courage is the key to fortune. If you cower before the mountain's shadow, you'll never unearth the silver buried within. Dreams are ethereal until action breathes life into them. Even with empty pockets and hollow promises, hope laced with persistence can author a destiny anew. True wealth transcends gold. It multiplies in the uplift of others. Edward's empire shone not in hoarded riches, but in the light he kindled for those adrift in darkness. Being born poor is not a sin, but dying poor without trying is.